Peace, everyone. Welcome to Moorish Monday with Abdullah Il Talib Mosi Bey on Magnets, Crystals, Pyramids, YouTube. Welcome. I'm excited. As always, I must say I have had some dynamic guests over the past few months. I am so excited. I want to always give a shout out to Brother Hank, Uncle Hank, for offering this platform to me, brother. Greatly appreciate you, brother, always. We have a special guest for I think my fifth or sixth time on my platform, brother Vicarious Ill will be, brother, we know, my man, Israel Bey will be assisting us in sharing the screen. So he's with us. We have a part two, How Are Venus and Moon Rule. This will be a discussing of my book, How Are Venus and Moon Rule. All right, to get the book, go to mooresandmasonry.org. My website will be strolling across the screen, mooresandmasonry.org. So we have Brother Vicarious Ill with us and doing part two. We did part one about I think 3 weeks ago. So, Brother Vicarious, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
All right, all right. I'm excited, man. I am excited. Definitely, brother. You are always welcome to the platform, brother. You are a beacon of light to our community, man. And you are doing some great work out there in Phoenix, Arizona. Definitely, you and I have been tied to the hip for about what, 25, 27 years?
Yeah, about that.
Yes, yeah. Born and raised in the same city. I love it. Yeah, we got a lot in common, man. A lot in common. Yes. So I'm gonna hand you the mic, brother. You have the
Okay.
mic.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Grand Rising. Assalamu alaikum. Made of Akum. Pretty much the last time I spoke, we were talking about Ab's book on how our Venus and Moon rule. To do a basic recap, we got into some of the symbols and signs that the brother had in the book that we broke down, like the grotto and the Shriner symbol, which is more or less what I want to focus on more today. The Shriner symbol with the scimitar over top of the crescent moon and the star, and also the woman's head. Now, the brother states that that is a symbol of the subjugation and colonization of the matriarch, as well as our ancient principles breaking down the calendar as far as using Venus and the moon. Now, last time we quoted from a sister named Monica Suju, who has a great book out called The Great Cosmic Mother. All right. And one of the things that we quoted, I'll read it for you real quick, says the morning star, also the evening star, is Venus, which, along with the moon, was observed for very accurate calculations by ancient astronomers worldwide. To the Aztecs, it was Quetzalcoatl. To the Mayans, Kukulkan. To the Sumerians and Babylonians, it was Inanna or Ishtar. When Christians encountered astronomical astrological observations and texts on Venus and the moon, they saw only devil worship. Hence, they destroyed library after library containing ancient wisdom and knowledge, including the Mayan astronomical library at Mani, as well as the Library of Alexandria. Now, my question is, why so much to bury this information when it's pretty much a part of everything? Everything that we deal with, it guides us through astronomy, it guides us through agriculture, it guides us through the different energies that make up who we are. We have a lot of brothers and sisters out here doing charts on people, and the main things that they focus on is what they call the sun, moon, and ascendant. Now they focus on them three things, but five planets plus our sun and moon being a total of seven is what is actually observed by the ancients right here from the planet. So why not take into account those planets as well? Why so much pressure to bury the Venus or the moon linkage or their cycles? Why so much to bury those calendar systems? It was created by the Mesopotamians. The Mesopotamians was the first ones that really started to clock the cycles of Venus. They also created, if my mind serves me correct, the 7 days of the week. Now, weeks, 7 days of the week from a Latin perspective, if anyone pays attention, as we all know by now, all 7 days of the week are pretty much planets or the sun and moon celestial bodies. So, where you have Monday in Latin, it would be lunis, dia de lunis. Because we look at the word lunis and we think that means Monday. It doesn't. It's just what they call the moon. So it would be dia de lunis. Tuesday will be Martes, Dia de Martes. Doesn't mean Tuesday, it means Mars. So Martes is not Tuesday, Martes is Mars, and it's Dia de Martes, not just Martes. So our days of the week, we don't just say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All right, those are the planet names. And some of them are named after deities that represented those planets. Like, for instance, Wednesday came from Woden or Odin in Norse mythology. So they call it Wednesday or Woden's Day. And it also has to do with the planet Mercury. So it has a planetary value, and then they put a deity to it to match it. But usually, when you look up on that mythology, most of our mythologies from the past are based in talking about astrological or astronomical event. It's not so much the story itself as it is that astrological or astronomical event that takes place while dealing with that story. Brother Israel, can you go to the next page? So, to recap, on there it has questions. It says the questions posed from the last meeting that we had. One was, is Freemasonry Lucifer worship? Number two is the Order of the Eastern Star devil worshippers. Three, the breakdown of the Shriner symbol being a symbol of subjugation. Now, these are the three things that we focused on in the last meeting where I broke down the basic aspects of Ab's book. I didn't want to go too much into it because I don't want to, give up the whole book in this lecture. But it's so much in there. It took me so many places, and I just want to share with you, brothers and sisters, where his book took me. Now, basically, like I said, the 7 days of the week created by the Babylonians or Mesopotamians. When you get into certain terms that we have in Latin, we don't even take into account that they really deal with astrological events. Let's take something basic like Mardi Gras. You take something basic like Mardi Gras and you find out that Mardi Gras has to do with being called Fat Tuesday. I'm sure most of us are familiar with Fat Tuesdays. It might be a bar or a restaurant, whatever the case may be. But Fat Tuesday actually has to deal with the astronomical time that they call Lent. It has to do with Lent, which, as we will see, coincides more with the Venus sign and around the same time as Easter or Astarte or Ishtar or Inana. So we will get into showing how I'm going to focus more on Inana, because with Inana, I can give you a better description of how they was breaking down the cycles of Venus. Now, first off, the one thing we got to understand, there's two different conjunctions when we're talking about the planet Venus. Brother Israel, can you go to the next page? Now, first off, last time we were talking about the three pagan goddesses which represented the different phases of the moon. Auza, Alat, and Manat, which you have right there on your screen. We broke that down and how those phases of the moon had a representation where at one time they were before the term even a law came about. And if you look up the term a law, you will find that it is a feminine word. So we look at a law as masculine and we take God as being masculine in many ways, but the very terminology that we use to describe most of these deities are feminine in gender of language. A law being one of them. Law is not a masculine word, a law is feminine. Now, next page, brother. We talk about the subjugation of the matriarch through the scimitar or the Shriner symbol, and we also talked a little bit about the grotto with the two horns right there. What you see is actually the different or two actual phases of the moon. The one on the left side is dealing with the waxing moon. The one on the left side is dealing with the waning moon. And the center, it's the head. That's actually should be a representation of the full moon, but in reality, they're using a male symbol there, which pretty much makes it a representation of the sun. So you have two phases of the moon with the sun in the center, which really that should be the full moon. But that's a symbol of the grottos. It's an order where master masons and their families can join. The scimitar, that's the Shriner symbol, the one on the left. Scimitar, crescent moon and star, and the matriarch's head on the top. So you got the moon and the star, representation of Venus. Let's get into it. So Venus got two conjunctions that it goes through. Next page, brother, in a 584-day cycle. Next one after that. After that. So we got two aspects. We already presented the question of why hide this? Why is it suppressed? All right. Now, from a geocentric perspective, geocentric means as visual from Earth compared to a heliocentric perspective, which would be visible from the sun. All right, so from a geocentric perspective, everything that we see in the sky is from a geocentric perspective because it means that we're seeing it from Earth. It doesn't mean that it's happening in the capacity that we're looking at it, but this is the visual aspect of it from Earth. That's why we have a sidereal cycle and a synodic cycle. In the synodic cycle, it tracks the relationship to the sun and Venus. So it deals with that motion through what we can physically see with our eyes. Where compared to the sidereal tracks the motion of Venus as it goes through the zodiac. So understand those two different cycles. We got synodic, what we can physically see and how it relates to the sun, and sidereal, which is how it relates to the zodiac. Those are the two aspects of the cycles we're dealing with. Now, the 584-day cycle, that's the synodic cycle. The reason it's a synodic cycle because these are the things that we can see or not see during that 584-day cycle that Venus makes. All right. So, in dealing with that cycle, from a geocentric point of view, Venus always leads the sun or follows by no more than 47.5 degrees. So it's no more than that. It won't be 52, anything like this. No more than 47.5 degrees. It can definitely be less. Now, Venus performs two different types of conjunctions in that 584-day time period. All right. One, which is the starting of the cycle, it starts it's called the inferior conjunction. All right. In which the other one would be the superior conjunction. Now, in dealing with the inferior conjunction, um, the cycle begins at the inferior. So the inferior conjunction is equivalent to like a new moon phase. So, in a new moon phase is a dark moon or what we call a dark moon. You can't see it. So in that stage of the cycle, you can't see Venus. It's not visible to the naked eye. Now, once Venus starts to move from that conjunction or from that new moon phase, all right, and it's in the middle of its retrograde. Anytime you're looking at Venus and its stages of being the morning star, you're looking at a retrograde because it's almost like it's pausing and stopping and saying hi, and then it keeps on moving in the direction that it's supposed to go in. So when we're dealing with how we see the morning star or Venus is the morning star, we're seeing it actually in its stage of retrograde. That's how we're one of the ways that we are able to see. Now, it moves slowly. It can retrograde, of course. Now, it's also nearest to the Earth at that time period. So the point of view is dark. But that's the time when Venus is closest to the Earth. Now, when it rises before the sun, Venus appears in the dawn sky about a week after the inferior conjunction. And after the inferior conjunction, when the sun and Venus are about maybe 10, I'm going to say 9 to 11 degrees, but roughly 10 degrees apart. All right. Once it's about 10 degrees apart, that's when we see it. That's what heralds the morning star. All right. So as we're looking at it, some will say that's the time of Lucifer or the morning star. All right. Anytime that it's 10 degrees or so from any of the conjunctions, that's when you will see it, whether it's morning star or evening star, depending on if it's the rising sun, which deals with the heliacal rising, or we're dealing with the setting sun, which is what will make that particular star or planet the evening star. Now, when it rises, they call it Lucifer. In certain places, when it's the evening star, they call it Phosphorus, or they'll call it Hesperus. Now, these time periods, a lot of us don't think about when we're dealing with our charts. Through our charts, we deal with the sun, moon, ascendant. But you got some places where they ask, where's Venus at within that cycle? Because Venus, is it in morning star phase? Is it in evening star phase? Or is it in an underworld phase, which is what they call it when it's in a dark phase and you don't see it? So when Venus is invisible, they call it the traveling through the underworld. So when we're dealing with the traveling through the underworld, that's a whole nother aspect of that same 584-day cycle. So it's broken down into the three: the morning star, when it rises before the sun; the evening star, when it's there before the setting sun; and the underworld phase, when it's in the dark where we don't see it at all. Now, rising before the sun, as I said, Venus appears in the dawn sky about a week after the inferior conjunction, when the sun and Venus are about 10 degrees apart. As a herald of the new day, Venus is called Phosphorus and Lucifer, the latter meaning the light bearer. Now, Venus Venus turns direct about 3 weeks after the inferior conjunction. So about 3 weeks after the inferior conjunction, or let's get into it. 36 days after the inferior conjunction, Venus is most brilliant. So after coming out, it goes to that 7 days. You start to visualize, or you start to see it. And 36 days after that, it's at its brightest. That's when it's at its most brilliant. So it's at its most brilliant during that time period, 36 days. Remember that number, 36 days after. Now, once it hits its most brilliant phase, 36 days later, it reaches its maximum distance from the sun, 36 days. Now, at this time, Venus is moving through the zodiac around the same speed as the sun and is gaining speed. So it appears. Remember, appearance, geocentric, where how it looks to us here. Doesn't mean it's what it's doing. It just means this is the appearance that we see when we're talking about that. Now, 216 days after that second 36. Remember the 36, the first one? 36 days after the conjunction, most brightest in the sky. 36 days after that, it's the maximum distance from the sun. Now, 216 days after that, which we equate to 6 36-day cycles. 6 30-day cycles equaling 216 days. Venus reaches its superior conjunction with the sun when it's moving close to its maximum speed of about roughly 1 degree, 15 miles per day. All right. Now, for several weeks, about several weeks, like after the superior conjunction, Venus is so close to the sun in the sky that it's no longer visible again. So now we're back in another dark period. Now Venus is furthest from the Earth at the superior conjunction. Inferior conjunction, furthest from the sun. Superior conjunction, furthest from the Earth. Remember those things. Now, Venus is furthest from the Earth at the superior conjunction, which is equivalent to the opposition aspect. So, if the opposition aspect of the inferior conjunction is like a new moon of the lunar cycle, then its opposition would be the full moon. That's what its total opposition would be. So from new moon to full moon. Now, the superior conjunction brings on the evening star aspect of the cycle. So now it's Hesperus, or what they call phosphorus. Now, both of these terms deal with light. Hesperus, they say, means west, because if we're dealing with a setting sun and Venus is the evening star, then Hesperus would be west, because heliacal horizon is happening in the east. So the evening star aspect will be in the west. So they say Hesperus is the west. So Lucifer morning star represents the morning star, the heliacal horizon. Hesperus, on the other hand, represents the western setting aspect. So it's the evening star. Now, 36 days after the superior conjunction, when the sun and Venus are about 10 degrees apart again, Venus first appears in the evening sky, setting after the sun. Now, when you're getting into all of this, the morning star aspect, these are all sciences that they actually still use in astrology. When you get into the Lucifer aspect of it, it says, now, Venus turns direct about 3 weeks after the inferior conjunction. 36 days after the inferior conjunction, Venus is most brilliant in the morning sky, morning star. 36 days more, Venus reaches its maximum distance from the sun. At this time, Venus is moving through the zodiac at the same speed as the sun and gaining. 216 days later, Venus reaches its superior conjunction with the sun when it is moving close to its maximum speed. Now, for several weeks before and after the superior conjunction, however, Venus is so close to the sun in the sky that it's no longer visible. Now, the reason it's no longer visible, if you think about it, because if the sun is the brightest star in the sky, it's going to outshine Venus. So those time periods where it outshines Venus, those are the dark periods. Those are the dark periods in between the two conjunctions. Now, this whole cycle of 584 days is composed of the going from the inferior conjunction to the superior conjunction, from the superior conjunction back to the inferior conjunction. It repeats it. 584 days gives you one cycle. One cycle. 584 days. 584 days is roughly 1.6 years, or about 19 months. So it's 19 months in a 584-day cycle. That happens 5 times in an 8-year period. So 5 times in an 8-year period, we go through those cycles of Lucifer morning star, Hesperus evening star, Lucifer morning star, Hesperus evening star. The conjunctions just continue until all cycles are met. Now, Hesperus basically means west. Can you go to the next page, brother? So there's a star, We got the pentagram and the circle. So far, I've been talking for about 20 minutes and I said nothing about devil worship. And I'm talking about the pentagram. I'm talking about a planet that makes this same pentagram in the sky over an 8-year period.
Now,
And
but
through
why did you bring up devil worship? Like you say that you didn't talk about devil. Why did you bring that up?
I brought up devil worship because of the way they break down the pentagram and the circle today. It's
Hmm.
explained as being that of devil worship or Lucifer worship, and it's nothing but a cycle of Venus.
Now you mentioned Lucifer
So
worship. Now let's deal with the devil. Why did the Europeans refer to this as devil worship?
they refer to as devil worship to pretty much subjugate it through colonization. Because by hiding these things, or should I say, learning from it themselves and then burning the books because they burnt the books, we're not connected with our natural calendars. We're not utilizing our natural culture. Venus was a part of our culture. Otherwise, the Mesopotamians and Babylonians wouldn't have utilized it. If it wasn't so important, and even with the 7 days of the week, why did Constantine agree to it? Because Constantine pushed it. Constantine pushed the 7 days of the week. Now, as far as the pentagram and the cycles of Venus concerned, it's considered Lucifer worship because Venus in itself is Lucifer, the light bearer.
Mhm.
All right, that morning star. We hear through all the, I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, Christian dogma and different types of dogma that want to equate this with devil worship because of the pentagram. They want to equate it with devil worship because it was ours. And it kept us in tune with who we are. It kept us in tune with the cycles that we needed through agriculture. All right. Because even during these time periods, it also let them know when they're able to plant certain things. So it's considered devil worship because it's our culture. And to subjugate us, they had to subjugate not only the mother, the matriarch, but also had to subjugate her sciences. Because what good is it? You got a family, the mother passes away, but if she left a culture or a way of living that her children and whoever else after continue with and continue to live by and continue to stand by and continue to represent them as they represent it, they can't have us doing that. Because to have us doing that would be admitting, I don't want to say how weak they are, but how powerful we are that they had to bury it. How powerful our mothers were that they had to bury every aspect of their culture. How they had to take it, mask it, put a male or patriarchal symbol towards it, and make everyone focus more on the sun. Never let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. So while everybody's sitting here focusing on the sun, we always talking about sun worshippers, even moon worshippers. I said the Al Kitab, the Quran, is called the Al Kitab. That's a lunar book. The Bible is called the Helios Bibliothek. That's a sun book. Where's our Venus book? Where's our Mercury book? We have other planets. If we go by the 7 planets or the 7 celestial bodies that they even went by, 5 of them are planets. How come we don't deal with the science of those cycles? Best believe Mother did more than just the Venus cycle. We deal with the Venus and Moon cycle, which is what we're talking about now, or the Venus and Sun cycle. There's a Venus and Mercury cycle, and nobody deals with. Or let me rephrase that. It was dealt with, but not too many deal with it today. So it was one of the cycles or one of the different knowledge that was also hidden from us. Mercury has more to deal with our mental faculties. They say Venus has to deal with our emotional factor, faculties. Now, to get into all of that would be me going more into horoscope, and I'm not going into horoscope. Let's deal with the astrology and astronomy that we're dealing with right now. We can get into the horoscope and how this moon, or this planet is supposed to make you feel this way, but that's another science. Right now, let's just deal with the basic of what was subjugated from us and kept hidden from us. So we talked about both conjunctions. We talked about how Lucifer Morning Star is what they call the morning star aspect of that conjunction. When we looking at these cycles, best believe if you're looking at ephemeris, they have that information in there. It can tell you exactly when the Venus is dark, tells you exactly the inferior conjunction, it tells you the superior conjunction, and it tells where you were born during that time period. Where were
Let,
you at during that
let,
time
let,
period?
let's give the audience information about what an ephemeris contains and what it doesn't contain. Now, an ephemeris contains the positions of the sun and the positions of the planets. But that what it doesn't have is our stars, position of the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. So an ephemeris is limited. It's limited. You know, it's good to have an ephemeris, but I don't want people to the audience to think that that's the end all be all, because, and the reason I'm saying that, uh, as I was learning, and that one of the focus, what the focus of the teachings was ephemeris, and as I grew in the understanding of stars, you know, particularly the pole star and the north star, the Great Bear, you know, the Big Dipper, Sirius, and I began to see the importance of stars and navigation and calendar making and timekeeping. So, oh my goodness! So I you know, so I want the audience to know ephemeris, but we want to expand that. They also expand their knowledge on stars. That the United States Navy has create star maps. They have an observatory in the United States Navy, and they actually, so you look that up and look at star maps. So stars are very important in timekeeping. The Navy uses the Big Dipper, and also the North Star,
Mm-hmm.
the North
Polaris.
Star for navigation. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so I definitely want to provide that knowledge of the importance of stars. Stars are not this. We learn about planets in the schools, but not so much the stars. And if they do, they'll mention the Big Dipper or Little Dipper, but but not in its application in navigating ships and timekeeping and measurement. And so we have to develop curricula for our children so that they can grow. And I want to thank you, brother Serious, man. You're doing a wonderful job, man. This just warms my heart, man. You know, to be able to write a book to inspire others, and that they take it even further in the lessons. You've done that. Brother El Kanan has done that. Brother Dr. Powerton was on 2 weeks ago, and he's done that. And I definitely, of course, Israel has done that, and I want to thank you, your brothers. Our sister Pocola Kusar has done that. You know, so I definitely want to thank all of you for really carrying on the knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And yeah, the ephemeris is definitely not the end all be all. And what most of us need to understand too is a lot of what we see in the sky as stars that are close to us anyway are the planets. So the different alignments, um, how we see things from a geocentric perspective, these things are not really taught in school. They tell you about an ephemeris, but how many schools actually teach you how to read it? Most of us have to take the time to learn that ourselves. They tell you about an almanac. They're good to push the almanac on us, but they don't get into ephemeris too much. And as far as star charts is concerned, I guess you got to be college level or something to deal with that. But I think that's something that should be taught on a basic level, even to our children, because it is that important, and it's how we track different events. It's how we track our holy days. It's how we track the different festivals and things like that that we will have at certain times of the year. Everything is not based on somebody just dying on the cross or getting killed or anything like that. All right, a lot of times it's based in the science of astrology and astronomy. Even the mythologies that we deal with. We always read about Ra going into the underworld, fighting Apep, and then when he rises the next day, he's Horus, Horus rising. Then when he gets to that point where it's at the highest meridian, he's Ra, still a cycle of the sun. Then as it gets closer to the west and the sun starts to go in the west, he becomes Set, the brother of Osiris. Even the mythologies break down cycles. When dealing with the Venus cycle, I spoke about Inana, Ishtar, Astarte. I want to share with you one of the
Esther,
Esther.
the Order of Eastern Star,
Hmm.
uses the form Esther, which is Easter,
Hmm.
Astarte, Ishtar, you mentioned. With them.
And we're dealing with Easter, Esther, Ishtar, but at the same time period that all this is going on, they have us looking more to what? Sun worship. They have us looking to a male deity. Even though this time period is more representative and catered to more matriarchal, matrifocal type culture. But they have us looking at the man. They have us looking at the male. They have us looking at the sun. But Esther, Easter, Ishtar, Astarte, this all deals with Venus. And let's look at one of them to prove that. All right. So we
Real
deal
quick,
with the. Go ahead.
before you continue,
Go ahead, brother.
the actual, I won't say the real power because the power is still there. The power is the woman.
Hmm.
I don't need to qualify. I don't have to say real power. It's because it has always been. She's never stopped being the power. There's no time where she hasn't been the power ever, ever, ever. We're talking about from a divine as well, from a divine and nature perspective, not from a political. I'm not talking political. I'm not talking political. You know what I mean? Somebody put a male. I'm talking divine and natural. Women have always been the power. That's, for example, give you an example of the queen bee. The queen bee, you said, man, the queen bee sitting in the hive. She's not doing anything. Yes, she is. No, she's not, Abdullah. The queen bee is just sitting there in the hive. She's not doing anything. Yes, she is. What is she doing? Giving out what? Air drones? She's guiding what? The worker bees. She's guiding the worker bees. So whatever the condition of the woman is the condition of the society. She's always been the power. So it's the misrepresentation of this from a political perspective, this male, male he, God he, all the world. But women have always been the power from the divine and natural law perspective. You're doing a wonderful job, brother.
And on the patriarch side of things, that was something that needed to be subjugated. Because for her power to show that way, it would show the power that they don't really have, being the conquerors, being the colonizers. It's like going to take over something, but you have to learn from the people that you're conquering. And to have everything you learn be based on the science of a matriarch, to be based on the consanguinity of a matrilineal side of things, a matrilineal order, a matrifocal culture. But now we're caught up in this patriarch, John Wayne version of what a man or masculine is supposed to mean. I am a male physically. I live a matriarchal culture. That does not make me feminine. I know who my mother is. I'll continue to follow my mother. Gotta get the next slide, brother Israel. Now, this pretty much shows a mythological perspective of the Venus Inanna Ishtar story. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Hold on 1 second. Y'all can still see me?
Yeah, we can still see you.
All right. So if you look at the chart, this chart shows you the
Oh, you
cycle.
frozen. All right.
All right, can you see me now?
So those who are just joining us, are you back?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, continue.
All right. It seems like when I move it, don't worry about it. So on the picture, it shows you the cycle, or one of them. In that cycle, it shows you what Venus goes through those 584 days. Let me see here. So if you look now, or if you look at the list, it has a list of numbers. Those numbers have something written next to it, like number 1, which you see somewhere in the center near the bottom. All right. It says that's the inferior conjunction. Now, from 1, you will move over to 2, 3. It tells you right there, 1 spends 14 days after the inferior conjunction. Then it hits 2, 3, 4. 2 is the helical rise in the east. 3 is the station direct. 4 is when it's at its greatest brilliance. Now, remember, I told you, once it hits its greatest brilliance, it goes into that period of roughly 7 months. So 5, greatest elongation, how far it is from the sun. Then you got morning givens at 6, and then you got the helical set at 7. If you're looking at the chart, you see in the movement. Once it hits 7, or the helical set east, it's in darkness for what? Almost 60 days. You got the exterior aspect of the conjunction, which is the opposition of the last one. Where it says 9 is the helical rise in the west. 10, you have your evening star. 11, your greatest elongation. 12, your greatest brilliance again. Because remember, we're approaching back to the inferior conjunction. So you go through all the same things on each side. Station retrograde, helical set in the west. That's at 14. So if you look at it, it's making the same cycle. On the bottom, it gives you the phases of the moon and their brightness. It gives you the numbers that correspond with it. It lets you know when it's dark. So this is our visual cycle. The sun is in the center. This is our visual cycle of what Venus does. Can I get the next page, brother? Here's another visual cycle. Now, this one will apply more to the descent and ascent of Inanna. Look at the same numbers. Same numbers. Inferior conjunction. So y'all see these same numbers. Everybody have an understanding of it. 2 is the heliacal horizon in the east. You see the horizon. 2, that line that it's on, that's the horizon. Horus rising, horizon. All right. So once it goes and it's over the horizon, it continues upward to its greatest brilliance. That's 3. Once it hits its greatest brilliance at 3, it starts to come back down to the heliacal set in the east. That would be 4. So as it goes back under the horizon, now it's in the underworld. That time period that is dark, usually for about 60 days. Now, if you look, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moons between 3 and 4. You look on the other side, after 4, it goes down to 1 again, and then it goes to 5. We're back at the horizon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moons going up. When you're coming down or coming from the morning star cycle, the Venus goes through 7 lunar conjunctions, 7 lunar waning lunar conjunctions. All 7 of those moons or those lunar cycles or lunar conjunctions that it goes through, all 7 of them are in its waning phase. As you get to the other side, those moons are in their waxing phase. Now, don't forget, altogether, in a total of roughly 22 moons, 19 during the cycle and the 2 when it's dark a little bit. Out of these moons, here's 14 of them. The remaining 5 are dark. The remaining 5 moons, those time periods are when it's dark. But these aspects that they're showing you in descending, 7 aspects of the waning moon or 7 waning lunar conjunctions. They are conjunctions, all of them. Those
You
are your Venus lunar conjunctions with the waning moon. Go ahead, brother.
you're bringing up the word number 19.
Number
The number
19.
19, and that's and what they call Islam. The number 19 plays a very important role, and you're explaining that
Mhm.
the number 19.
It's a
And I
mathematical
and I
given.
and I, and I actually have that in the book. There's a page in the book tying to the ancient lunar calendar found in Ohio, Hopewell, Ohio. I can't remember what page it's on. If you remember what page that's on, Hopewell, Ohio, ancient lunar calendar, and it's tied to the number 19. I can't remember what page it's on.
Not offhand. I think
Yeah,
it was somewhere
but you're doing a
particular.
good job in explaining the number 19. I just wanted to bring up the number 19 because those and tie that because people have probably heard the number 19. If they
Mhm.
studied the Quran and studied in the mosque, they'll probably heard of the number 19, but never given this level of instruction. And
Yeah,
this
because
is what I was saying, that I don't see symbols, and I quite a few there's people I don't see symbols, and I know, and I mentioned this to brother Dr. Powelton when he was on, that there was brothers who had a challenging time when I said I don't see symbols. It's only because they've been orientated to only seeing symbols. They wear the hats and they have it on the badge of on the back of the cars. They have it on the jackets and they have it, the rings and the shirts and so forth and the bags and so that symbol makes the you go of allegory, valid and symbols and where I'm orientated into the science, into the astronomy, into the application of
Mm-hmm.
it. So this is why I don't see symbols because I have the knowledge. So when I see when I if I when I see the when I see this that 5 pointed star.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "What do you mean you don't see symbols?" Because I have the knowledge of what this is. I have understand the cosmological cycle in 8 year the Earth, Sun, and Venus alignment that occurs in 8 Earth years. So I know that. So when I see that, when I see this, that's what goes to my mind. That is running through my mind. When I see the cross, when I see a cross on a building, a cross on a t-shirt, earrings, hat, t-shirt, cars, I see what am I thinking of? Oh, the shaft. So as soon as I see that, as soon as I see it, oh, the shaft, the tile placement in the shaft, notches on it. The helical rising is Sirius. The cycle. I'm thinking of that. That goes to my mind. If you don't have that knowledge, this doesn't go through your mind. You just see what? So therefore, you just see a symbol because you don't have in your mind, you know, the application of it. So this is what I mean. I don't see symbols. I don't, brother. Once again, you're doing a wonderful job, brother.
Now, with the application of this, as I said, number 19, and do remember, as the brother just mentioned, 19 in Islam, the the Quran is the al Kitab. It's the mother book. It's also a lunar book. So you see that 19 and most of the keys that 19 breaks down, you know, in the Quran, apply it to some of this because there's an astronomical or astrological connection to it. The descending right now is the waning aspect of the moon. The ascending is the waxing period. Now, when you break it down with the myth of Inanna, to give you let's see if I can give you a quick basic breakdown. All right, so one part of it deals with Inanna she's going into hell. All right, so let me see here. The famous descent of Inanna into the underworld. At midlife, after gaining her queenship and becoming married to her husband Dumuzi, Inanna turns from the great above to the great below. Similarly, after reaching maximum brilliancy as the morning star, the planet Venus reaches her maximum elongation or separation from the sun and begins to move back towards him, thus appearing gradually lower and dimmer in the sky. Now, on her way to the underworld, Inanna passes through 7 gates. You see the 7 moons, right? Inanna passes through 7 gates where she is removed of her royal regalia. Likewise, the planet Venus makes 7 conjunctions with the waning crescent moon between her maximum brilliancy and eventual disappearance. Now, upon entering the underworld, Inanna is killed by her dark counterpart or her sister Ereshkigal and hung on a hook. But through divine intervention from Enki, she's resurrected. Now, Enki sends magical beings who sprinkle the water and bread of life on Inanna 60 times. Why 60 times? Basically, because it correlates with the 60 days that the planet Venus is invisible. While near the superior or the inferior conjunction on the far side of the sun. All of these aspects where Inanna is invisible totals in about 60 days. Now, the next part of the myth in astronomy reveals a remarkable symmetry which pertains to the true essence. As Inanna made her descent to the underworld, her husband Dumuzi made an ascent, taking her place on the throne. When Inana is reborn, she is told that someone must replace her in the underworld. When she finds the Muzi absorbed in his role as the king, rather than mourning her, she decides that he will be the one to replace her. The roles are reversed. Now, Nana ascends the throne and Dumuzi must take the descent. The roles are reversed. Similarly, while the planet Venus makes 7 conjunctions with a waning crescent moon as she descends on her way to invisibility, she makes 7 conjunctions with the waxing crescent moon as she climbs towards maximum brightness as the evening star in the west. Now, that story, Sumerian or Babylonian, depending in its context, just gave you the cycle of Venus, just basically going through Inanna and her descending and ascent into the underworld. Her descent into the underworld represented the 7 stages she went through where she was removed of her vestments or her royal regalia. Those are the 7 waning lunar conjunctions that she went through. We can call it 7 gates of hell if we want to look at the story, but it's conjunctions. In her ascension, she regained everything back and obtained her queendom back and her place back. Those are represented by the 7 ascending lunar conjunctions of the waxing moon, which represents more the evening star. So we looking at this. We hearing the stories of all the different stories that we've had. The sun dying on a cross. What's the cross? The cross is what? Is it the galactic cross? Is it the cosmic cross? These cycles I just gave you on Venus, I haven't even taken into account of when Venus does all of these things and it's near the solstices or near the equinoxes. Also give off energies at these times along with the energies that they already give off. It's almost like a blending. The same way we get energy from the sun, the same way we get energy from the moon, we get energy from these planets as well. If it's a superior conjunction, or I'm sorry, if it's an inferior conjunction basically is when Venus is in between the sun and the earth. That's called the inferior conjunction. So when you're in an inferior conjunction, Venus is in the middle. So if that means that the sun is shining its rays down on us, it's shining its rays through Venus, which could act as a filter, which shines more rays down on us, right onto the earth. Now, in the superior conjunction, Venus is furthest from the earth. So now you have the earth, sun, I'm sorry, you have the Venus, sun, earth alignment. And the Venus, sun, earth alignment, when it's furthest from the earth, the sun being still a magnetic, a magnetic force or entity or energy, it's still pulling, even with Venus behind it, or it's the sun being in between Venus and the earth, it still pulls the energy from Venus and still showers it down on the earth. It's all still dealing with electromagnetism. The same light and energy that comes through Venus, whether it's in a superior conjunction or a inferior conjunction, still dictates energies that's coming down to us on the planet. Venus is a morning star, has a certain energy. Venus is an evening star, has a certain energy. It cycles with the sun, moon, technically even other planets, all give off an energy. When we're born around certain time periods, we call it the zodiac. Yeah, I'm a Gemini. Okay, you're a Gemini. Okay, and that's your sun sign. Where was Venus at during your birth? Venus is so much in almost every culture. Some places open, certain places is hidden, but it doesn't change the facts. The ancients wrote about it in different ways. I just broke down to you the descent and ascent of Inanna. This is during the time of Easter. This is the goddess around that time. Inanna, Astarte, Ishtar, Esther. We focus on Jesus or Yeshua, but the time period in the mythologies that's spoken of around those time periods are matriarchal. We talk about Sirius. The heliacal rising of Sirius is in July, for lack of a better word, to use this calendar. During the heliacal rise of Sirius, that's as close to July 4th at one time. Because if you understand that the time periods that we're in, let's just say Gemini wasn't always where it is. In a 25,920 year cycle that the North Pole travels through all 12 signs of the zodiac, it's not stationary, it's still in motion. We still move. So with it still being in motion and we still move, it's not going to always be the same. Here's another cycle that most don't deal with. When you deal with where Venus was at the time of your birth, it will return there every 8 years. So your 8th birthday, your 16th birthday, your 24th birthday, your 32nd birthday, your 40th birthday, so forth and so on. Every 8 years, it returns almost directly back to the same place it was when you were born. But that cycle's not important. But yet it returns to the same sky within roughly a couple of days every 8 years. Venus goes back into position of where it was when you were born. So on your 16th birthday, sweet 16, you had 2 8-year cycles under your belt where Venus returned back to the same spot. But this cycle is not important. It didn't need to be known. Oh, just the sun cycle is important. That's all that matters. Moors, the flag. A red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. What does the red represent? The sun. What does the 5-pointed green star represent? Venus. What does your flag represent? A conjunction. It's been flown over 50,000 years, right? I think more than that. And the celestial body that we call space in the sky, that conjunction happens that conjunction happens every 584 days. I guess it would fly for 50,000 years, huh? Islamic flag, star and crescent, red background. Star Spangled Banner, 50 stars, red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Anything? Oh, no, that's the European colors. No, that's the colors of the brilliance of Septi. That's the brilliance of Sirius, how it shines. 50 stars in it. Huh? Could represent the 50 states, as they call it, 50 colonies. Or could it also be a representation of Sirius B, which travels around Sirius A? It makes one revolution. It takes 50 years for one revolution for Sirius B to travel around Sirius A. Sirius starts the inundation of the Nile in Egypt. It is the Egyptian New Year. Nobody thinks these cycles are important to us. They're using it against us. They subjugate Venus and hide what Sirius is. Yet our ancients, they kept these cycles. They created these cycles. They did the timekeeping and measurement to honor these cycles. But yet we're running around talking about Easter bunnies and Christmas. We're walking around talking about July 4th. That's not our Independence Day, really. But it's a marker that we created. It's a calendar or something within a timekeeping that we kept and they took from us and adapted it, just like they did the Fez. 1870s, Shriners started to wear the Fez. Masons were not wearing the Fez. Shriners were wearing the Fez. You know, that whole tie down behind the ear and all that good stuff. Yeah, that's not a Mason thing. That's a Shriners thing. We keep saying masonry. Masons do this, Masons do that. Understand that there are two different bodies. Shriners, a Shriners Lodge has Masons in it. A Masonic Lodge doesn't always have Shriners in it. Understand the difference between the two. They're not all the same. I hear a lot of our Moorish brothers and sisters that attack Masonry because of Shriners. Well, you know, they wearing our fez and this, that. No. Masonic culture is Moorish culture. Shriners just adapted another aspect of the culture and decided to wear our national headdress. We know it ain't theirs. They adapted it in 1870. I'm sorry,
And he's
adopted
talking about the Europeans. So we're gonna, yeah, which for my brothers, our brothers who are Shriners
it. Mm-hmm.
in the order. He's referring when he said there. He's talking about the Europeans. 1870, Sir Walter Fleming
Yes.
established the ancient Arabic order of the noble, of the Mr. Shrine. My brothers who are Shriners, the fez is yours. This fez is yours by birthright. So he's not talking to you. He's talking to Europeans. He's talking to European Shriners. He's not talking to brothers. The fez is yours by birthright, not by lodge. The fez is not is yours by birthright, not by lodge officiation. You are noble by birthright. They took an hereditary title of ranking, and adopted it as an office in the shrine.
Mm-hmm.
You are nobles, my brothers, by birthright. The fez is yours by birthright. The compass, the crescent moon is yours, that knowledge. The 5 points he's breaking down, it's ours. He's referring to the European Shriners. So I want to just clarify that for our brothers, because we're about facilitating harmony and unity with our brothers and sisters.
Indeed.
All right.
And it's not to say, brothers and sisters, I'm definitely not saying that. Number one, the fez is ours. Like the brother said, by consanguinity, that is ours. When I'm talking about the pale skins, like I said, I don't like to call them European because they ain't really European. The pale skins. When they adopted this in 1870 to use our fez, number one, they came across somebody else who was in our culture, who They liked the way they moved, so they adopted it because they liked the way we used it. And then they put the mark of subjugation on it. The scimitar, the crescent moon and star, and the matriarch. Symbol, symbol, picture, representation, subjugation, colonization. This descent of an ascent of Inana is just one story, one mythology, one basic breakdown of the cycles of Venus. We have a myriad of mythologies out here. Majority of them, especially older ones, will in some kind of way connect to an astronomical event. Even Christianity. The sun on the cross is the sun on the cross. The sun on the cross are the two equinoxes and the two solstices. I'm not beat. You're not going to sit here and hit me with the sun dying on the cross. I understand that he was crucified at Golgotha, which is the brain. I'm sorry, the cranium. I understand it being anointed is. I understand what Christ oil is. I know what Christ is. It's not something I need to worship. These cycles of the moon is our science. These cycles of the moon and Venus and Mercury and anything cosmological, it's our science. It was given to us by our mother. It's our culture that was stolen and hidden from us. It's our culture that was subjugated. The cycles that you're looking at here, the descent and ascent, the waxing and the waning phases of the moon, the dark period of the moon, as well as the dark periods of Venus. These things are all important. When you're dealing with the moon aspect, you're dealing with the waxing, the waning, the full, the new moon, and at the times when the moon is called void of course. These different aspects of any of the planets within this solar system, whether you're dealing with the main five plus the sun and the moon, or you're dealing with the remaining seven plus the sun and the moon. These cycles were calculated. These cycles were part of timekeeping. These cycles were, most of them ended in festivals or festivities that marked what was going on in the celestial hemisphere so that we can celebrate it below as we celebrate it above. Whether we talk about Venus, Sirius, because understand, the star Sirius, still feminine. Sirius is feminine. Venus is feminine. 7 days of the week, we created. They market and utilize it in their languages for their understanding, but it was our sciences. They took what they wanted from us and either threw the rest out, burnt it so we could never retrieve it, so they thought, or just kept it hidden so you got to be in some kind of secret society in order to gain that type of information. And don't get me wrong, when I say secret society, I'm not talking about Freemasonry. Freemasonry is a small part of that. Secret societies is well beyond just Freemasonry. When people come together for a common cause, whether it's good or evil, it's a society. It's only secret if people know about it or not. So we say secret societies, that's kind of light. Because it's ones that's right here out in the open that do all the same things and they'll do it to you the same way. My brothers and sisters who are in the lodges, in the Order of the Eastern Star, I know you're not dealing with Lucifer worship. I know it's not devil worship. Pentagram, five-pointed star, Baphomet. It's not devil worship if you understand. It's another way of hiding our knowledge. It's another way of hiding our light. They create a symbol, and you look at the symbol as if it's the actual. Even Freemasonry is mostly speculative. Otherwise, if it was operative, we would have a whole lot of stonemasons in the world. But that ain't the case. Our tools for measurement, compass and square, plumb line, or plumb, these are not exclusive to Freemasonry. This science on Venus, it's not just exclusive to any one people, but it's being hidden from one people the most. So why is there fear there? Can I get the next slide, brother? Why
And,
is the
and
fear there?
and that one people, are being used as pawns, as bill payers,
Hmm.
as bill payers. So you have our brothers who are Shriners. They send money to the Europeans for the Shriners Hospital, but the Europeans are the ones that's getting the credit. Like they're getting the credit, you know, for establishing the Shriners Hospital. They do the commercials, and they have a token, one of us, in the commercial sometimes. You know, but they always use us for the bill payers. And in fact, about 15 years ago or so, that's when Europeans started allowing us in their lodges. Now, now they don't just do anything out of benevolence. It's not out of benevolence. They didn't allow us in their lodges out of benevolence. They had been losing membership. So they brought us in to save their lodges. To help pay the rent, help pay the bills, not as benevolence. Now, I love my brothers. I love my brothers who are Shriners. I love my I love my brothers who are Masons. I love y'all. But I know that you would not call me your brother over a European who's a member of the order. You would call a European, you would call a Donald Trump looking male who's a Shriner your brother over me. I love you, my brothers. I do. I'm not trying to foster no division. I need you. I need you, my brothers. I need you. But let's talk the truth. You will call a Donald Trump looking male your brother, and you will not refer to me as your brother. Forgive them, mother, for they not know what they do. I understand why, because of the distortion. I ain't mad at you. Once again, my brothers and sisters, I'm not about fostering no division. We need our unity. I'm not here to foster no division. I love my brothers. I love my sisters who are Eastern Stars and daughters of Isis. I am not fostering no division. On that, I'll yield.
We definitely not dealing with division here. The same way Elijah Muhammad used to talk about the lost found Muslims or the lost found nation of Shabazz here in the wilderness of North America. Well, here in the wilderness of North America and all over the world, I got brothers and sisters in these lodges that don't know the truth of who they really are or their place in this world. They're chasing after rights and benefits that can be given from being a part of a fraternity or sorority when those same rights and benefits that they think they have to go through there to get, they have if they have proper understanding and knowledge. They are not the lost. They are not sellouts. They are not Uncle Toms. They are my lost brothers and sisters, and I'm going to help them too. I don't believe in leaving anybody behind. My brothers and sisters that's in these lodges, that's in the not know, they need to know. Because mother said don't leave them behind. So I can't. And I won't. I'm not going to ever look at them as, oh, they the sellouts. Oh, they against the movement. Oh, they this, they that. I go through more brothers that are in the movement with me that are against the movement than these brothers in these lodges. But like the brother said, most of you brothers and sisters will choose someone that's less melanated over your brothers and sisters just because y'all share a frat or a sorority. You will choose that loyalty and put there. I'm asking for your loyalty and your trust. I'm not asking you for no dues. I'm not asking you to pay me. I'm not here speaking for no fiat or no currency. I love my nation. I love my brothers and sisters.
I'm
And
gonna, I'm
my
gonna say this one thing, and I'm gonna get off of it. By serious.
go ahead, brother.
Uh, Donald Trump looking male will never choose you over another Donald Trump looking male. Why? Because they know what the mission is. They to maintain the subjugation and the temporary dismantlement of the Moroccan Empire, to maintain us the loss of more the state of the loss of more sovereignty, to maintain territorial sovereignty over our land through Europe, through a conquest, French, Spanish, Dutch, Portuguese, English, conquest, colonization, now in the hands of the United States, managed and maintained through the United States Constitution. They know that. So because they operating on knowledge. We lack the knowledge. That's why our brothers and sisters will choose a Donald Trump looking male over me, because we lack the knowledge of our history, our birthright, our pre-existing Moorish sovereignty, our pre-existing Moorish statehood. That's why, and I know that, my brothers and sisters. I'm not mad at you. I love my brothers and sisters who are Eastern Stars, Daughters of Isis, Masons, Shriners, Knights Templars. I love y'all brothers and sisters. I do. I'm not fostering no division, but I'm putting those dynamics out there because those dynamics do exist. They do exist. So we got to keep it 100. All right, it's my series.
Okay, so to get back on the topic, real quick. Now, the page I have up there deals with same Venus cycles, same story of Inanna Ishtar, but it goes through a better understanding of the gates that they go through. Here's another aspect of the gates. This time they're comparing them with the chakra system. It says Venus has 584-day cycle. Venus spends 40 days in retrograde, moving from evening star to morning star. During her retrograde phase, Venus conjuncts the sun. A few days later, rises as the morning star, beginning a new 584-day cycle. As the morning star, Venus, aka Inanna and Ishtar, begins her descent into the underworld, she meets the waning moon 7 times, going through the 7 gates into the underworld. At each gate, she gives up a vestment associated with the 7 chakras and is releasing any distortions linked with these chakra energies. Now, here is showing you about the chakra system using the same story. Still part of the Venus science. Gate 1, crown chakra, gate of authority. 2, gate of perception. 3, gate of communication. 4, gate of compassion. 5, gate of personal power. 6, the gate of creativity. 7, the gate of manifestation. Now, their 8th gate, which is when it comes out of darkness, will be the depth of intent gate. Now, here we got these gates that we go through, still utilizing that same science. 4, Venus joins the sun for 60 to 90 days. This is the underworld phase. Inanna dies and then is reborn 60 to 90 days later after she meets with the sun or source of life, dying to her old self and preparing to be reborn anew. Venus rises as the evening star with 7 to 8 conjunctions with the moon. Venus meets with the waxing moon, returning through the 7 gates in reverse order this time. Now transformed and empowered from her initiation, and she regains her vestments. So now she goes from the bottom up. Gate 1 is the root chakra, and now she's going up. Creativity, personal power, passion, communication, perception, gate of authority. But now the 8th gate is the ascension gate or the life intent gate. When you're coming down, it's the death intent, because you have to die in order to be reborn. So it's showing Inanna going through an initiation period, Venus going through an initiation period when it goes into the underworld, when it goes through them 7 conjunctions on one side, and then the 7 conjunctions on the other side, one of the waxing and one of the waning, and still includes them dark periods of the moon or them dark periods of the planet. Now we know the moon has a dark period, the sun has a dark period, Venus has a dark period. Venus begins her retrograde phase in the evening sky. Venus retrogrades 40 days and disappears from the evening sky. A 7 to 8 day meeting with the sun, and then emerges in the morning sky as a whole new archetype of the feminine, a whole new type of energy. Can I get the next page, brother? So even there, we're looking at Venus being coincided with the chakra system. And even in our chakra system, it's still astrology. Even the explanation of it is still astrology. We say that the chakras are wheels. Wheels of what? Light. So that means that same energy. During the one phase of the waning moon, you're giving up the negative aspects of what you're dealing with within that cycle. That's why they have those names for it: gate of authority, perception, communication. Notice how the gate of communication is still the throat chakra. If we're looking at the 7 days of the week, the gate of communication is what? Miraculous, Mercury, Wednesday. So they still utilizing the same science. Creativity is gate 2. That's Mars. That's the Mars cycle. So they showing you everything now. Instead of the moon aspect, they're showing you how even that aspect deals with the chakra system. Even that is ours. Next page, brother. Now, what this page is, it deals mostly with where Venus was at certain times of your birth or certain births. So they have certain days when it I'm not birthdays, but certain days when it rises, when it retrogrades, all of these things, and it's based on a color code system. Now, I put that up there basically for you to look at on your own. You can, take a screenshot of it, whatever the case may be, and do look at this. Because it also gets in, when they talk about Venus cycle, they also get in to talk about the overlay or the overtone energies. And when you're dealing with them overlay energies, they supposedly affect you as well. Their positioning is important. The energies they give off and the time periods that they give them off is important. Now, the next page, brother. All of this is ours. This page breaks down the gates. Take a picture of it. This deals more with the Sumerian story. And the main reason I say take a picture of this, brothers and sisters, because we, especially in the conscious community, for lack of a better word, we in the conscious community, we've come across a lot of mythologies, most of them Egyptian, Sumerian, and all of that. You might have to look at these. Look at what the mythologies is representing. Find out if there is a astrological or astronomical connection to that particular mythology. I think the science that they call it is archaeoastronomy. And when you get into archaeoastronomy, it will better give you an understanding of the mythology that you're dealing with and show you the astronomical aspects that apply to it or coincide with it or what they were actually a derivative from.
I think
I
it's also called astro-theology too.
correct. Yeah.
Astro-theology is what you're referring to.
Yeah,
It's
it's
another name.
astrotheology and
Astro-archaeology deals with the the layout of cities. That's more so in my day. The Masonic Carpenter Square book,
Right.
and the Masonic Carpenter Square book, where you get into, I get into the astroarchaeology, dealing with the layout of cities, metrology, and astroarchaeology are related in that, dealing with the layout of cities and the placement of buildings, dealing with the tying to the moon, the measurements or the radius and diameter of the moon or the sun or particular planets, and that is duplicated. You have what's called what's known as the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So we duplicated, we replicated the measurements of the planets, or the distances between planets, and the circumference, diameter, arc, radius, or core of planets, the sun, the moon, and we replicated that in the designs and measurements and layout of cities, archaeoastronomy and or metrology, and you're talking about astrotheology.
Hmm. And in dealing with that astrotheology, the most common one that we've always utilized or been taught about without proper explanation of it, but that we've utilized the most is the great yes. Yeshua, Iusis, Jesus, the Son. We've been taught about the Son in different ways for decades. Everybody picks up a Jesus in some form or another. How many of them actually tell you that it's the Son? It's the Son. When we dealing with the old mythologies of Inanna, Ishtar, her descent into hell, look at the astrological aspects that it came from, or what was going on at the time that it was written. What is one of the major myths? If you look at it, the major mythologies of the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the major mythologies all deal with astronomy and astrology. If you really, really get into it, even most of your stories on what they call the Anunnaki, most of those stories get into astrological events that happen. They talk to you about Tiamat in the Sumerian story. In the Sumerian story, Tiamat, the mother of the gods. What do it say? They compare Tiamat to Earth and the moon to Kingdom. But what do it say? It talks about at one time Tiamat was over there between, I believe, Neptune and Venus, and a moon, another planet came in, knocked it out of its place, created the asteroid belt, and knocked it into its place here as the third rock from the sun. But they tell you in the mythological format, where it's a story of the goddess Tiamat and the dragon and Kingu, the moon, her protector, and the stories sound real good. But you look behind the story because it's astrological events that took place. It's a science there that took place that the ancients wanted us to remember. It's part of our timekeeping. Our timekeeping is kept through mythology. That's one aspect of how we keep time. Most people they deal with chronologies and things like that. Nah, we talk about the celestial bodies and the stars right in the mythologies that we utilize to tell our children. And then somebody came along later on and said, that would make a good religion. And now it's a religion. But it was just stories based on astrological events that they were teaching their children. Or
Break it down, brother. I salute you, brother. Break it down.
so now we running around chasing after the pale man and their foreign gods, which their foreign gods were just the planets that we dealt with, the astronomy and astrology, the sciences. that we deal with. They placed it and made it godhood for people, for us to worship. The sciences that we just utilize for the culture, for agriculture, for the many different aspects of culture that we deal with, for the matrifocal system, the matrilineal way of or matrifocal way of living. Our mother's sciences, they took her sciences and gave it back to us as religion and said, here, worship this. And when you die, you will have heaven. Our mothers was giving us the canopy of heavens from the door. She gave it to us being who she is. Salts of the earth. Zodiacus or the zodiac. These different sciences. They changed them, made them into a deity, and now we running around worshiping. We worshiping the sun. We worshiping the moon. We worshiping Mars, Venus. They were not for worship, brothers and sisters. And we've been led astray long enough. And my brothers and sisters who know, cool. My brothers and sisters who in the lodges who know or don't know. It's your wake up call. It's time to Sankofa. Go back, retrieve it, bring it back. It's ours. The science of Venus is more than just cute stories. It's more than just them calling it Lucifer or Hesperus. Them cycles that we deal with it. No, they just say, nah, that's devil worship. We don't want nothing to do with it. And you shouldn't either. How dare you talk about Lucifer? That is the devil. That is Satan. That is Shaitan. That is not the same. And when you understand the aspects of what a demon was, like I said before, demon at one time meant something divine. It didn't mean something evil. That came later. Demon, especially spelled Daemon. You already know when you got letters in umlaut, interchangeable. Daemon, demon, whatever you want to call it, it still meant something divine. Did not mean nothing evil until after, I believe, the 1600s. Then it became something evil. We didn't look at hell the same way until someone mentioned fire and brimstone. And, well, hell can't be that hot because
Dante Inferno.
Dante's Inferno.
Dante Inferno. Yes.
So until Dante's Inferno, which was an opera, if my mind serves me correct, until then, that was what the image of the circle of hells turned out to be later, after Dante's Inferno. Before that, no. They talk about us all fire and brimstone, and well, brimstone disintegrates at 900 degrees Kelvin. So, if brimstone has a disintegrating point, how hot can hell be? You just put a limitation on the heat of hell by saying it's all fire and brimstone. See, anybody that use common sense, you hear fire and brimstone, and you're like, let's see what that disintegrates at, because everything has a burning point to the point where it disintegrates. And yeah, I did make people mad with that growing up, because I looked up, well, how much does it take to disintegrate brimstone? It said 900 degrees Kelvin. So I went to church being an a-hole because I knew that. At the same time, These is our mythologies. These mythologies were stories that broke down astronomical events and other things. We had mythologies that helped break down when the agriculture was going to be at its highest. We get told these stories in a negative fashion and then are told to worship. I hope I gave you brothers and sisters quality tonight. The cycle of Venus is ours. We've always had it, and they've subjugated it along with the mother. They've colonized us into thinking, oh, Venus, that's just the goddess of love. It's not really that important. It's Greek mythology. Even the Greeks wrote about our sciences. Even the Chinese, or what they call the Chinese now, Manchurian, whichever name you really want to deal with, they have a Chinese astrology, Japanese astrology. How come it ain't like ours? Or is it? What astrological things were they breaking down from what they seen in the sky? I mean, they boast a 5,000-year history of Asian culture. Where they get it? And what are they talking about? What are they showing you? Because in their mythologies, they break down astronomical events too. Start looking into the nine-tailed fox and things like that and see what those things really represent. My brothers and sisters, I thank you. I hope I gave you quality today. And with that, I say peace,
Oh,
Islam, and Brother Ab and Brother Hank. I definitely thank you. Brother Israel, I thank you too.
hey, before you leave, brother, before you depart us, brother, let us what you got going on down the pike, brother. Brother, we got it, brother. This is you are amazing, man. I've told you that 100 times over, and our people need you, brother. So let us know what you got going on down the pipe as far as lecture series concerned.
As far as right now, I'm spending most of my time trying to get with the brothers and sisters out here who are Moors as well as Masons in Eastern
Out
Star.
here, I mean, he means Phoenix, Arizona, and he also has ties to Los Angeles, Nevada.
Hmm.
So let them know what you're. Yeah,
Yeah, so basically, I'm trying to speak more to the Moors out here because when I first came out here 15 years ago, it wasn't as many Moors as I thought. But as time went on, the population out here really grew as far as the Moors are concerned. Since I've been talking and lecturing out here, I have a lot more Mason brothers and sisters or brothers and sisters who are in a class or in that organization who actually took on to the Moorish knowledge and got into getting their nationality and all that stuff too. As I said, my job personally is not to leave my brothers behind, especially those who are in the lodges or in these Order of Eastern Star chapters. And I talk with them as much as I possibly can, along with other Moorish brothers and sisters who have the same like-minded aspect that I do with myself. And we don't believe that our brothers and sisters are lost because they're in these lodges or in these structures or organizations. Because I've noticed that when some of them get the knowledge, they run with it. And when they run with it, they realizing who they are. They shaking things up in their own spaces. And those same spaces that they're shaking up, they're now giving an attentive ear to what's going on and what's being said. So between the lodges out here, some of the Moorish brothers and sisters out here who asked me to speak in different places, some of the Masons and Order Eastern Star structures that asked me to speak, it's to the point now where they have children that's getting into it. I have a lot of children asking me questions, so I'm trying to get into an aspect of where I can set up lessons for children. And most of the children out here, they're really hooked on the astrology and astronomy because once I broke down the solstices and the equinoxes to them and things like that, they children run with it. Children run with it. It's a beautiful thing. So this is what I'm looking forward to for the next few months. A couple grand sessions I'm trying to attend to push my brother's books because it's necessary for in this craft that they get that too. Very necessary. Brother, your book is tremendous and is killing it out here. I love it.
And he's also talking about the Masonic compass square. He pushes both of them. And also Moors and Masonry. Moors and Masonry Part 1, the Masonic compass square book, the Venus book. This brother, so I used to uh, when he moved out, was that 2010, right? When you moved
Yep.
to
Arizona? Yep,
Arizona.
2010.
Yes. So we've known each other for a long time, 20 some odd years.
And the brothers out here, yeah, they let's just say Ab getting a nice following out here as of lately.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing though.
What else do you now you have some connections in California.
Yeah, California, Nevada, uh, some of the lodges out there, some Moors. I know you're familiar with Mafiel out there. I'm
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
get with them
yeah.
to actually make an appearance out there for
Hmm.
Brother Mafiel. As far as Nevada is concerned, most of those brothers are more coming down here. They will come down here to see me here in
Hmm.
Arizona,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to get invited back out there by the Moorish community actually out there because they're
Hmm.
starting to big up and do a few things. Mostly their circle of Moabites out there, the sisters out there, they're really trying to make moves. Um, there's also I got a couple of people in New Mexico.
Hmm.
I do a lot of moving around. And most of the people I talk to, Washington State, Arkansas, like I know these isn't, places normally spoken of, especially on the East Coast, but I'm
Well, that's
speaking
why
about others.
you're here, bro. That's why I wanted you to speak on it.
Yeah,
Because I already know. I just want the audience to know
yeah.
what I know.
So, and the way I'm doing it, I'm not coming to these places. I'm not coming with misconceptions. I'm not coming with weirder people. I'm coming with international law. I'm coming with post-millennium. I'm coming with nationality. I'm not dealing with too many of the misconceptions. If when it
Yeah.
comes to the history aspect, I get into the astrology, astronomy, and the history that's relevant to the consequentity of who we are. Outside of that, I don't deal with too many misconceptions. Not anymore.
Yeah, he was like me. He was boxed in for a long time with misconceptions. He was like I was.
Yeah, and I did a lot of fighting with other Moors over that.
Yeah.
And
So.
we all got to the point of realizing that something ain't right. And once we figured it out, and I didn't figure it out until Brother Ab actually. And
Hmm.
when I figured it out and I shared it, and they was like, "That's it. We need to move on beyond that." So that's where we at.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Is there a number they can reach you? How can you be found? You have a what? Yeah. Is there
You can,
contact information you can give
as far
us?
as
Uh,
far as contact information, my Telegram is for the love of more 372, and my phone number that I do business with is 602-775-2581. Now, that number, whether you send me a text or you shoot me a call, whatever the case be, I usually will either answer it or I'll get back to you as fast as possible. But those are the numbers that you can reach out to me. Other than that, my email is also sun, SUN, of Zodiacus, Zudiakus, the number one, at gmail.com. That's Sun, SUN of OF, Zodiacus, Zudiakus, the number one, at gmail.com.
give your phone number again if there's a way you can put it in the chat. Can you put the phone number in the chat? that possible right now?
I don't know how. Wait a minute.
If not, just give it out again because I want people to be able to reach you because you got people who are listening who are who are on the West Coast, and I want them to be able to reach you. And
Yeah,
if you
so
can't reach them, y'all just contact me too, and I can give 215-300-5471. 215-300-5471. I can connect you with the brother as well. My website, mooresandmasonry.org, is now being strewn across the stream. Thank you, Brother Hank.
and I did just put my number in the
He
chat.
put his number in the chat. Your name, great. You have with your name too? Good.
Yes.
All right, great. All right, I want people to be able to contact you because I say they're brothers and sisters who are out there on the West Coast with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing some great work, brother. I know you've been selling my books since since 2016 out
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
If there was DVDs too, and it was
Yeah.
DVDs and books. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
and I should send him out quite a few stuff, and
Yeah.
then
Your etymology DVDs are still kicking it out here, brother.
yes, so good. His numbers up there. Yep. Thank you, Hank. Uncle Hank. Yes, brother Israel. Thank you, brother. I greatly appreciate you, man. Greatly appreciate you. Next week we have Her Majesty Queen Shantae Lene Harford of the Nation of Shara. She will be my guest next week. The topic is the Warrior Queen, restoring the knowledge of the ancient matriarchal principles of governance. The Warrior Queen, restoring the knowledge of the ancient matriarchal principles of governance. That is Her Majesty Queen Shante Lene Harford. She will be my guest next week. I'm excited. I've known her for two years and 2.5 years, I believe, over 2 years. And Israel knows her as well. Israel, but Quasi knows her. Quasi ill of the Trial Eugene, but also King Albay knows her as well. So she will be my guest next week. Uh, well, in fact, I actually have the when Israel get the thumbnail done, we'll actually start marketing that. So, brother Barceres, I thank you again. Greatly appreciate you. All right. And we definitely gotta have you back, man. We gotta have you back. So think of a topic. All right. So we bring you back, you know,
Anytime, brother.
October,
Anytime.
October,
That'll work.
October, because I think I have August already filled up. Most September. I have a special guest coming. I'm not going to reveal my special guest. I think Israel knows. Israel knows. I have a special guest coming up in the near future, but I won't reveal it until the time is right. I won't reveal my guest. I'm not even gonna give a hint. I'm not gonna give a hint. All right. So thank you. So until next week, same bad time, same bad channel. All right. Once again, I want to thank Brother Hank. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. Please share this video as well as other videos. Hank always has guest speakers on throughout the course of the week, so tune in, hit that notification button so you get the notification of other guest speakers. Always has dynamic guest speakers on during the course of the week. So thank you until next week. Peace, everyone.
Peace.